Turkey, Turkey is a country with huge development objectives. It's currently the sixth largest economy in Europe and 17th largest economy in the world. But there's a little problem, how we are going to fuel this huge growth potential in the country. The problem is energy. And Turkey doesn't have much, especially in fossil fuels. It depends on external sources of imports. For natural gas, 98%. In oil, 93%. Also, it depends on the external world for financing energy investments. Turkey needs to invest $12 billion a year, and it doesn't have the domestic sources for that. You need to mobilize international capital. Technology, again, you need to bring it in. So we call this Turkey's soft underbelly. And in terms of gas, we depend heavily on Russia. Before it was 65%, but now 55% we import our gas from two lines, Blue Stream and Western Line, and 28 billion cubic meters. This makes Turkey Gazprom's second largest buyer in the world, after Germany. Then the rest comes from Iran, Azerbaijan, and also LNG. In terms of future supply, because we are now very concerned about the supply disruptions in gas, what happened with Russia, shooting of Russian Su-24 over Syria and Turkish border because of violations of our airspace, and this has been a wake-up call for Turkey. What happens if the supplies are disrupted? I don't personally think that there is going to be a serious disruption, but still, even if it's small, there is a possibility. So we are looking into alternative ways. Where could new additional supply could come, so that perhaps the Russian percentage could be brought down to the EU levels. That's about 30% from 55. So there are very good opportunities in this regard. One is Azerbaijan, through Southern Gas Corridor. We could bring more gas, and an agreement was signed recently between Turkey and Azerbaijan to speed up the construction of TANAP project. Secondly, we could bring gas from the Kurdish region of Iraq, where I'm also sitting on the board of this company which will be producing. If we take the investment decision, in 2.5 years we can bring up to 10 BCM of gas from there. Add to this the Eastern Mediterranean gas resources located in Cyprus, Aphrodite, and in Israel, Tamar, Leviathan, and also in Egypt you have new discoveries, Zohr Field, Alexandria. So there is a potential to bring another 10 BCM from East Mediterranean. We also signed a gas contract, long-term gas contract with Qatar to bring more LNG. And so Turkey is not without options. However, between now, 2015, or early 16 now almost, and 2018, when all these projects could become viable and operational. So that's a huge challenge. And we are thinking perhaps the floating LNG, more radical energy efficiency improvements, and shifting from gas-fired power plants to hydropower, as well as more renewables. But these are things which will not happen overnight. It takes time. So in terms of gas market, Turkey is going to grow stronger. From 50 BCM we've been consuming, and up to now we might perhaps go up to 70, 80 BCM by 2030-35, and then to 100 BCM, depending on the availability of gas. We also have plans for nuclear power plant, which might reduce dependence on gas, and renewables perhaps could also steal some percentage from gas, but overall Turkey is the only growing natural gas market in the region which can absorb volumes coming from different directions, if the price is right as well, because yes, supply security is one thing, but also price-wise, Turkey is paying the highest price to Iranian gas, about 10 BCM, sometimes disruptions, it's not very reliable, followed by Russia, Azerbaijan, and the Kurdish region. So with LNG prices almost around $5.50 MBTU, so pipeline gas should also come to a manageable level. Right now we have a new government in power, following the election in Turkey. And there's a new Minister of Energy and Natural Resources. And we also expect that Turkey perhaps to revisit its comprehensive integrated energy management strategy so that it is prepared for the challenges of the 21st century and also disruptions that might occur, not only in natural gas but also in other areas, energy efficiency, improving business climate for investors to come to Turkey, and also pursue what I would call a soft power strategy in foreign and security policy. Because Turkish tendency, especially at the highest level, political level, is to flex the muscles a bit. It gives impression to the neighbors and international players that Turkey is emerging as a revisionist power. That frightens them, that scares them. Whereas the real intention was to become a hub. In order to become a regional hub for transportation, for telecommunications, for maritime roads, as well as energy, you need to inspire confidence among your partners. And Turkey is no doubt a regional power to reckon with, because wherever you look at, from whichever direction, all the way from China to Germany, Russia to Saudi Arabia, Turkey is the biggest power in the region, economically, militarily, politically, human resource-wise, and hinterland, historic, religion, ethnical, linguistic. Therefore, Turkey doesn't need to tell everybody that it's a regional power and use hard muscles. What Turkey needs to do is use its soft muscles, cultural diplomacy, trade zones. We had this, between 2003 and 2013, almost just a decade of period where Turkey promoted free trade zones, visa-free regime, and investment to neighboring countries, building new infrastructures, bridging conflicting parties to one another. So we need to go back to this period so that there will be confidence and trust in Turkey. Then I think it will be good also for EU to be linked to the Middle East, to Russia, East Mediterranean, and so that it will be a partner for problem solving and innovative approaches, solutions, rather than a partner which is so much engaged in conflicts, disputes, and trade and investment-wise not so trustworthy. So I think the road is very clear. Perhaps with the new geostrategical environment evolving and unfolding, and now we hear louder calls for perhaps EU and Turkey to get closer with the full membership prospect still in the background. It doesn't have to be full member because it's not easy to digest a country of Turkish size. We are not a Malta or Cyprus. Therefore, 80 million, very powerful imperial spine and ambitions politically and economically. It's not easy. It will be the second most powerful nation in the European Union after Germany if it joins. So there's an understandable concern and fear about that. But with Turkey, I think EU will be a real global power, not only where it is, but also in the surrounding geographies. And Turkey will be anchored in the Western alliance, in the Western values, Western economic, trading, and investment regime. So in a world where we see power shift from west to east, especially towards China and India, if EU wants to be relevant in the global economy and geopolitics, I think it needs a country like Turkey strongly anchored in the system. It has already affected, and it will affect more, because nobody can deny the fact that Russia is the world's natural gas superpower. Now perhaps US is coming with shale gas, might be replacing at some point Russia, but still it remains quite obvious that Russia will be there to reckon with as a gas supplier and next door to Turkey. But what we saw over the past few months, because of divergent views and interest in Syria, because Russia wants to move to East Mediterranean, not only protecting Assad, but also they want to have a stronghold in the Middle East and East Med. And also tension in South Caucasus, Azerbaijan, Armenia, in Turkmenistan, Kazakhstan, Georgia. I think this is one of the serious risks everybody's talking about, whether Russia might be perhaps creating some sort of an unstable situation in Georgia. This will be catastrophic for the future of Southern Gas Corridor, because it goes through that. This is a $45 billion and integrated project. And so this political tension and also sort of a personal level strong feelings, I wouldn't call it enmity, between Erdogan and Putin are making life quite difficult for business world. It's not only between Russia and Turkey, I think more personalized. But it has become a wake-up call for Turkey. So if things go wrong with Russia, whether it might lead to disruption, which in my opinion, as I said before, first, Russia is legally bound. So any breach of this legal contract would bring consequences. And secondly, Turkey is Russia's second largest market, and there are so many other competitors wishing to come to that market, so Gazprom will be wise enough to satisfy Turkey so that this market will not go anywhere. And third, Russia is not selling only to Turkey, it's selling to Europe and others. They also aspire to establish a huge deal with China, $400 billion. So if Russia is using energy as a political weapon, and all these other buyers will be concerned. So therefore, Russia has to be careful in that. And also in this sanctions environment, where Russian economy is losing blood, it is not wise to do that. Plus, politically speaking, relations between Ankara and Moscow was at an exemplary level. Until a couple of months ago, we were having joint ministerial meetings, cabinet meetings together. So it's we have a package deal with Russia. It involves energy projects, two-way street. It involves defense procurement, tourism, trade, volume, construction. So it's a huge package. I can't understand how, because of accidental shooting of Russian plane, could wipe out all this comprehensive collaboration and partnership built over years, painstakingly between the two countries. So my personal hope, I think that's also the hope of many people in Russia and Turkey, thinking rationally, and this tension will be perhaps brought down and reduced, and both sides, of course, it's difficult to bring the relationship to the old level, but at least contain it where it is, prevent from further escalation, and reach a common understanding so that we could start again building on the base of confidence. But for this reason, I think both on the Turkish side and the Russian side, this aggressive rhetoric should stop. Otherwise, we might find ourselves in the middle of a hot confrontation, bringing also Russia, NATO, EU against one another. So this is something that we should all avoid, and there's a huge role for this to play from the European Union side as well, because it is one of the strategic critical partners with Russia, and Turkey being a NATO member and associate member of EU. So there's a lot of work to be done. But whatever happens, I don't think that Turkey will be in any way encouraged or inclined to increase the share of Russia in its natural gas market. So the Russian share in Turkish natural gas market will go down. This famous or infamous Turkish Stream project, now on hold at the request of Moscow, it might be very difficult to revive this as well. And I don't understand how Russians could play it that way, because after the problems they are experiencing in Ukraine, now Turkey, and Nord Stream 2 is not a done deal, so they will have difficulty in getting into the European Union market as well. So it is in the interest of everybody that we reduce the tension and get back to the basics with Russia.